With the school year starting back up, many students are making the decision to take classes fully online this semester. Even schools that are trying to have in-person classes are struggling to stop the spread of COVID, as many were forced to shut down again and send students home. Since many students feel like they aren't getting their money's worth by taking classes online, many incoming students have either waited to begin college or are demanding some type of tuition reimbursement. On top of all of this, college sports have been canceled, and this is a huge income stream for many colleges. In this video, we're going to look at how the pandemic has affected colleges, what students are doing during this time, and what some colleges are planning to do in the future. Before we begin, don't forget to like and subscribe to support the channel. With the value of college already in question by some, as a college degree is becoming more and more expensive, and the value of that degree is decreasing. Colleges have already seen a trend of many students taking alternative paths of education, such as trade schools or going to a cheaper local school. With the lockdowns, classes are becoming virtual, and students aren't getting the same experience as they would in an in-classroom environment. One of the biggest portions of college is meeting people and developing a network that you can connect to in your career. According to PayScale, around 80% of actual job openings are filled through networking, and at least 70% of jobs aren't even published. So networking is a very important aspect of finding a career, especially just out of school. Many of your first major networking opportunities come from college. However, this is very difficult to do in a virtual setting, and many students feel that they shouldn't have to pay full tuition if they aren't getting full benefits of going to college. For the most part, colleges have not refunded their students for tuition, but have refunded all unused food plans and dormant costs. They have also taken out other campus fees such as gyms and other campus resources that can't be used. This is a big loss for a lot of colleges. University of California President Janet Napolitano wrote UC has already lost hundreds of millions in housing and dining revenue from students choosing to leave campus, and anticipates losing more revenue by the end of the spring semester. The University of Michigan anticipates losses of $400 million to $1 billion this year across the 3 campuses. These are big losses for these schools that aren't used to be put in this situation, as costs and admissions for schools have been steadily increasing year over year. This is mostly because students have easier financing options that are mostly backed by the government, so anyone can get a loan now for school, no matter what the cost is. This has created a situation of many people coming out of college and are straddled with hundreds of thousands of dollars of student debt and are struggling to find a job, especially in this economic environment, but that's a whole different discussion. Many of these schools also bring economic prosperity to the surrounding area. Many local businesses rely on students coming back every semester and are a huge target audience for them. Now with students having classes online, many of these local businesses are going to have to suffer and might not survive. There's also a problem with schools in large cities, as many of these schools go to local landlords and rent out blocks of apartments for student housing. These apartments will no longer be rented, or the schools will have to eat the cost if there was a deal already in place. This is on top of all the commuters not coming into the city for work anymore, and a lot of people working remotely and moving out of cities already. College sports are also a huge income generator for a lot of schools. From March Madness and college football, these events bring in millions of dollars for many schools. The NCAA, which is the nonprofit that runs college athletics, takes in around $8 billion a year. March Madness has already been canceled this year, and college football is trying to make a push to continue, but is still uncertain of how to do so. With all of these financial hardships, layoffs have already begun. According to the Chronicle of Higher Education, 218 American colleges and universities have laid off, furloughed, or not renewed contract with workers because of COVID-19, which is impacting over 50,000 employees. The Bureau of Labor Statistics indicates that colleges employed 19,000 fewer people than between February and March. In May, Stanford University announced that the school was facing financial challenges and that some reduction of school workforce would likely be unavoidable. This comes in spite of the school's almost $28 billion endowment. The University of Massachusetts system reported furloughs of more than 1,000 workers. The University of Wisconsin system has indicated that they expect a financial shortfall of at least $100 million and required employees to take furlough days and pay cuts in order to save $30 million. This is kind of shocking since the price of schools have increased dramatically as more students are attending colleges. It seems like the money hasn't been handled well, and schools have gotten comfortable with always increasing tuition costs and non-stop money coming in. According to Richard Vedder, who is a professor of economics at Ohio State University, the increased cost of college is because of the sheer number of people wanting to go to college. Higher enrollment has brought an expansion of financial aid programs and a need to increase budgets for faculty pay. Also, they increased on-campus student services. Vedder also states that there has been an explosion in the number of non-teaching personnel on campus, with several administrators at top universities making six-figure salaries with fringe benefits and secretarial support. He said about 2/3 of university budgets had nothing to do with teaching, but instead go towards things like dormitories and facilities. Many schools are trying to bring back students to their campus, but are having difficulties controlling the spread of COVID. According to the Chronicle of Higher Education, more than 1/3 of the country's 5,000 campuses are giving it a go, despite a series of high-profile failures. New York University, which is still attempting to return students to campus for in-person learning, is requiring international students and students from 34 states to quarantine for 2 weeks upon arrival, as it is mandated by the state. Recently, NYU students organized a party in Washington Square, where a mass group of people gathered. New York Governor Andrew Cuomo ridiculed the school for allowing the party to happen and stated it is a demonstration of reckless disregard for public safety. Many schools have also opened and seen spikes in COVID cases, while others have opted to have virtual classes for the fall semester or a delayed start time. This is an interesting time for education. Many students are struggling to find the value in a traditional education as the costs keep increasing. The value in college has definitely decreased, especially if classes stay virtual. A student is not getting nowhere near the same experience as they would if they were on campus and making in-person relationships with other students and their professors. The cost of education is a serious problem in the United States, and this is a time where people are starting to see what the value of college actually brings to students. I feel that we are going to see a lot of smaller colleges close or merge with larger schools. We are also going to start to see legitimate online schools becoming more popular, as they can run with lower overhead and be cheaper for students. I can also see shorter college programs becoming a thing. We are already seeing this for IT and programming jobs that have boot camps that you can complete within 6 months, and this will give you the knowledge and base to get an entry-level job in that field. The future of education is changing, and we will have to wait and see what the future of the 4-year degree is going to be. What do you think about colleges charging the same amount for virtual classes? And how do you think colleges and education will change in the future? I would love to hear what you have to say. And with that being said, as always, thanks for watching, and like and subscribe to see more videos.